Welcome, everybody. This is Elise Buie with the Maximum Mom podcast, and I'm here today on this holiday, sort of. I don't know, we might talk about that, but with Angela Hansen, who is just one of my favorite people who I met a few years ago, actually going to a conference on learning how to systematize our business. And Angela and I got a wide variety of learning from Allison Williams at that. I felt like I was in a fire hose. So much learning. Thank you, Angela, for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Elise, for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited to have you. Okay, now first, I always want people to know, like, who is in your family? As you know, this podcast, we're all about being a mom, a lawyer, and an entrepreneur. But what you don't know is when I put us on live, I talked about how I was going to talk to you about being in the sandwich generation and the big smush. We have a big smush in the sandwich generation. So, I mean, I think of you as mom, caretaker, you know, other lawyer, entrepreneur. I mean, you got a lot going on. So tell us about your family, your sandwich.
Oh, my sandwich. All right. So myself and my husband of 32 years have a 29-year-old son, a 27-year-old son, and a 5-year-old daughter. So this is where I'll mention all of our children are adopted. Yay. All right. So we've got 29, 27, and 5. And my older 2 boys live outside of the family home in another family home. And then we have my beautiful parents, and they are 80 and 79. And 3 years ago, I think it was about 3 years ago, we sold their home, we bought another home, and all of us live together. So I have mommy and daddy here. So it would be a double-decker sandwich.
Oh, yeah. You are definitely, I mean, I really think of you as an overstuffed po' boy. I mean,
yeah. And then today we had the spiritual grandbabies. So I have about 17 of those spirituals, so that I help their moms transition out of drug abuse or, homelessness. So they all call me Big Mama, from the South.
Wow.
So today somebody had to go to the orthodontist, so they got dropped off at Big Mama's house.
Wow.
So yeah, we serve a lot of folks.
It's amazing though. I mean, your family and your joy with your husband, I mean, just always brings me joy. When I met you, I just connected with you so immediately.
Yes.
And your mama self just exudes out of every pore you have.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
For a while there, I thought, I'm going to have to stop being Big Mama. How can I be this powerful, entrepreneur, business owner, lawyer, and have people, screaming Big Mama, which they do in the courthouse when they see me. And you know what, Elise? I gave up. I'm like, this is who I am. I am Big Mama lawyer. They call me Big Mama lawyer lady.
I mean, for real though, embrace yourself, because that's exactly who you are. And I would think your Big Mama self helps your clients so much feel that same comfort and that same sense of, oh, this is Big Mama. She's got me. She understands what I'm going through. Let's talk a little bit about your practice. What kind of practice do you have?
Okay. So it's a family law practice. And we have niched even more to divorce law. So my new website just went live. It's hansendivorcelaw.com. And we are really looking to continue to help the women who are more, older, and the children are out of the home, and oftentimes their spouse is ready to move on.
Right.
And we didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know you had an exit strategy,
Right.
right? So that's what we're doing now. And yeah, that the having the ability to not only offer them, really good, strong legal advice and services, but honey, I'm right there. I'm the same age. If my husband decided that he wanted to do something different, I would be like, oh no, because I didn't start working until, 8 years ago. I
Right.
don't have a nest egg.
Nor an exit strategy.
I'm like, oh no, we staying together now. You're going to be miserable. Oh, but you're going to be married.
And working in the office.
And working in the office. That's right. He's my paralegal extraordinaire. He ain't trying to go nowhere though. Let's just be honest. That man
No,
is happy. That's the grinninest man.
I love that about you two. That just, I mean,
Yeah.
when I first met you two, I just love that because you all remind me a lot of Doug and I, just
Yes.
happy, really like serving each other a lot, like really
Yes.
figuring out how can you do things to be together and to make each other happy, and how do you
Yes.
spend time together in a way that's joyful. And
Yes.
I just love that. And I
Yeah.
think that, I don't know, I know for me it just brings a smile to my face every day when I think of my husband. I'm just like, wow, I am
Absolutely.
so lucky.
Yeah. That's that whole, I married my best friend
Oh yeah.
32 years ago. And it's the thing that saved us, because it's not like the marriage has just been, all cupcakes and rainbows. you
Add
know,
in a few unicorns.
there were some times when I'm like, whoo, let's see, let's carry the 9, add this up. Yeah, no, can't afford it. Got to stay.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. I love that. Well, tell us a bit about your entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I did mention we
Mhm,
met at Allison's Systematize Your Business.
mhm.
I mean, it sounds like you really kind of took all that to heart and have been running with it ever
Yes,
since.
yes. Well, when I started practicing as a litigator in family law 8 years ago, and I came in as Big Mama. My girls needed help. I was like, wait, I have a law degree and I passed the Maryland bar. I can help you. So we, got my bar license out of mothballs. And so I started doing this stuff, basically, 100% pro bono. After a few years, though, um, the Lord sent us the baby girl that I thought we were just going to help her. She was in the NICU, exposed, blah, blah, blah. And I thought she was only going to be here a little while. But then all of a sudden, when we realized there was another adoption, I'm I can't just be giving away. I've got to now make some money because she doesn't have a trust fund. My boys were
I
out of
mean,
college, you know, paid for. They graduated with no debt. That was our gift to them. So yeah, thank you. Love my husband. Yes, honey, yes. So, but then this little girl, I'm like, Daddy, he stopped working a little early. He retired.
sure.
So we were living on my income until he got of age to receive his retirement from Lockheed, Laurel, wherever it is that he was working at the end. And I thought, they are relying on me. I mean, I'm the breadwinner. I'm supposed to be the PTA president. How
I'm
did I
Big
become the
Mama.
I'm the breadwinner? So I was seeing Allison on Facebook,
Yeah.
and law firm mentor and momentum, and I thought, I'm just gonna call her. And she really challenged me on my dreams. Like,
Oh yeah.
I was holding on to, I'm just small. I just want to eke out a living, the widow's mite. And she was like, really? Is that really what you want? Because I you don't need me to be mediocre. You could do that on your own. So I came, she really got me to say the truth, which is I want as big and as much as possible so that I can have the life I want. I want to I want to work less and I want to have more. And
Right.
she told me that was possible. And then we show up to systemize, and she's like, and here's how you do it.
Exactly. I mean, pretty shocking stuff, huh?
And like, and here's how you do it. Not, I'm going to give you just a little bit of how you do it, and then I'm going to hide the ball. It was
Oh,
the most amazing thing. So when someone is sharing with you the way that she did, and then the way that we helped each other, that's our little family. I mean, we're all pretty much still together.
it's amazing.
It
I
is,
love that about the connectivity of the
mhm.
groups that were created through that. I mean, I feel like I've learned so much from other people that I've met through Allison and the Law Firm Mentor and other just programs I've done,
Right.
when Allison's been involved. I mean, it's been very helpful.
Right. So my firm has gone from me all by myself losing money to we're now systematized. I now pay my husband to be my paralegal
I
full
love
time. And we're working from home right now. Our office is in the former used to be the living room, and we hired someone to help with the little one in her online school, someone much more suited for it than he. If I couldn't do it, I mean, yeah. So, and now we've hired an associate attorney.
Wow.
We've worked with virtual paralegals, looking at what the next hire is going to be, and using Profit First, we increased our profit 333%.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Just by using Profit First
That's amazing.
over a year. I'm like, okay. And the big news is my daughter doesn't want to be the only pup in her litter.
No.
So, yeah, Friday, the home study is going forward, and we're looking to foster to adopt more
Oh my
kids.
gosh, I love that. Good for you. That's such
Yeah,
exciting news.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's so amazing. Wow. That's just, I mean, you are
yeah.
such a blessing to people around you and children. I mean, everything about you just warms my heart, and it makes me so happy to hear how well you're doing. I mean, think about how many more people you can serve doing whatever it is you want to do,
Right,
whether it's being there when somebody gets dropped off for an ortho appointment.
right,
That's
right.
huge.
It is. And that the idea, there were so many people who said to me, there's no way you can be doing this well and not working more hours. And I say, yeah, you're wrong. I work fewer hours.
Right.
I don't work on the weekend very much at all,
Good
you
for
know.
you.
But you have to systematize, you have to know what you're doing. And I heard that niches get riches. So I'm like, I'm niching. I'm a divorce
Absolutely.
lawyer. I can refer your adoption out.
That's just amazing. That is so exciting. Well, tell us a little bit about the whole sandwich generation. I mean, because you
Okay.
do,
Yeah.
I mean, you live it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I lived it too. I had my parents
Yeah.
who had strokes, and I
Yeah.
had my grandparents, and my mom was an only child. So at some point, I had my grandparents living with me, my mom living in a house directly behind me,
Yeah.
hooked with a little walkway, me, my husband, and 4 children.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was wild, like
Yeah.
trying to deal
Yeah.
with all that. I
Yeah.
mean, talk to us
Yeah.
though about that sandwich.
Yeah. So there you do have to have a certain piece about what you're doing. I think that's the first thing is that. So I'm an only child ostensibly. Yeah. And my parents don't have any children together. It's just me. And I remember when I met my husband, I told him I'm an only child. No matter what, you need to understand that at some point,
Right.
my mom and daddy are going to be living with us, because when I applied to college, you know, that make the parents do the financial aid forms, I got more money. You know, they're wonderful, but the income was not their strong suit. So what happened was, we noticed about I noticed about 4 years ago, mom was complaining a lot about, you know, how dad was forgetting things and things like that. And this is just had never been. He's not listening to me. He only wants to do the same thing over and over again. He doesn't want to make any changes. And I picked up on that. And I said, you know, they were talking about moving in with us in 7 years. And I said, no, I think we need to step it up, mom, because I was getting calls and having to go to the hospital.
Right.
And we lived too far apart, even though we're in the same little area. It was just, I mean, then the baby, it was a lot. It was a
Right.
lot. And they moved in June. September, mommy had a TIA and drove her car through the garage into my kitchen.
Right.
God only knows what would have happened had she not been here. You know, everybody was fine. It was just stuff. She was fine. She's never had another one. But if she had lived down there in Silver, if I had to, but this way I could just look at her. And then
Totally.
we had to go to all those neurology appointments. I'm like, I got you. This
Right.
is why. And she's apologizing. I'm like, that's why you're here, honey. That's why you're
Exactly.
here. And then the next February, dad ends up in the hospital with dementia-like symptoms. I mean, like really bad auditory
Right.
hallucinations and visual hallucinations. Turns out his heart was very irregular, and they put a pacemaker in, and there's still a little cognitive stuff going on, but he's fine. But again, all those hospitalizations, I got to just go and be there, because we
Right.
all live, the hospital is 5 minutes from the house. We all live in the same house. I didn't have to worry about her. I knew where the kid was. It's just fine. So in
It
that
makes all the
sense, it does. It makes all the difference in the world. And then my sons are, it's just the two of them in that tier. And they are as protective of us as we are of my parents. So they come and anything that needs to be done, you know, they come over to
right.
fix granddaddy's, you know, remote.
Oh,
Because
that's wonderful.
why do you have two remotes, granddaddy? You don't need two remotes. But it's just, you know, and even after COVID, they come over, they don't have any problem wearing masks. They
Right.
know, you know, the question for Thanksgiving was, I mean, I know we can't come, but you cooking, right? You still cooking. We'll take it to go. Yeah, and that is how they sound.
Right. But what more can you ask for? To me, I
Oh,
mean, that is just you've, I mean, the children you've raised, it's amazing because they're able to see your relationship with your parents and
yes,
they are able to model the same thing
yes,
with you and Steve, which
yes,
imagine what that is doing for your daughter and the
yes.
next one.
Exactly. And it's interesting because that's their little sister. They
Yeah.
tease her. They all of them treat each other crazily. And they're her guardians, and
Right.
they'll be the next one's guardians. You
Yep.
know, if something happens to me and my husband, they will get these little ones, and they absolutely understand.
Right.
And for us, it's actually, I have to put this out here. This is my family's way. My great grandmother took a child in when she was 70. My grandmother adopted a child when she was almost 60. So
That's amazing.
this,
What a
I'm
legacy.
like, this is just what we do. And it
Right.
doesn't have to even be, you know, formal adoption. You just feed
Right.
them. You know, I've had kids come, stay.
Oh yeah.
After one spring break, you're like, are you ever going home?
Right.
My kid said, no, no, ma'am. Spend
Yeah,
2 weeks.
we have been that as well. I mean, I think that's why you and I just connected
Yeah.
so well. I mean,
Well,
we
remember the first time we met, my husband gave me to you.
right,
He's like, will you make sure my wife gets to where she needs to go?
totally. I was like, I got you.
Exactly. You didn't say, sir, are you insane? You're like, yeah, I got her.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah.
wonderful. Oh, I so
Yeah.
remember that. But I
Yeah.
mean, it is so amazing to me when you can bring another child. I mean, obviously, you and I both have done dependency
Yes.
work. Like, I mean, I've
Yes.
spent so much time working with, children and parents with
Yes.
CPS. And I mean,
Yes.
so many children. I'm just like, can I just bring you home? You know?
Oh, absolutely.
My poor husband's like, was six not enough, honey? Like,
Right.
where are we drawing this line?
Right. 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 Well, I remember I had him convinced that I wanted 10 when we first got married. And he's like, well, I'll give you 3 and we'll renegotiate. And then there was 2, and I was a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
So I'm one of those, you can have it all. And
Yep.
I thought I would kind of do it sequentially. I just did not anticipate this new one.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
I realized I stayed home and I was the mom that was the room parent, and I baked cookies and I went on all the field trips and I did oh gosh, I forgot this at home, that at home. And I loved it. I loved being the NAACP parent coordinator
Right.
and I loved all that stuff. Some of it was mind numbing, after being in a big firm. It's like I went from Cat Muchin and Zavis and the boutique securities. I practiced securities law before I retired. And then I was in the PTA.
So, I mean, yeah, you and I led a parallel life. I mean, I think that, but I think there's something to be said. I love when women who, if this is what they want to do, can choose that kind of cycle of life, because there's
Absolutely.
times in your life where staying home might be very important to you. Like you might really want to do that. And I know I did. I mean, I stayed at home for years. I
Hmm.
homeschooled my kids. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I did that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was like really into it. I
Yeah.
loved it and I loved
Yeah.
being home with my kids. Now I can't imagine it. I mean, I love working. I love
Hmm.
building my firm and
Hmm.
but I've been able to make those decisions for
Yes.
myself.
Yeah. And I'm sure not without some sacrifice. And I think a lot of moms, like they'll think, oh, well, that was easy because your husband was working and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, no, we were getting hand-me-down clothes and we had the envelopes where this much money for food and this much money
Yep.
for clothes and this much money. And when that money ran out of
Oh,
those
I hear you.
envelopes, whoo,
It was empty.
it was just empty. And my
It
beautiful
was
husband was
empty. Oh yeah,
taking the bus in his suit because we only had one car. And if the baby had to go somewhere,
totally. We were
you
the
know,
same way with
yeah,
the same way. One car, we
yeah,
would do all kinds of things to cut
to
our
make it,
expenses so
yeah,
that I could stay home
yes,
and be able to enjoy the kids. And I mean, we love thrift stores. Like I was the best
yes.
thrift store shopper on the planet.
Oh
I
my
mean, I
gosh.
would bring my kids in there. I'm like, guys, we have $10
I
to
know. And they
spend.
go,
And I
whoa,
mean, you can spend a lot with
a
$10
lot,
in a
a
thrift store,
lot.
especially if you go to some of the savings
And you
days,
have to
like
go to the right
e
ones,
exactly, the
the
right
best
ones, the
outing.
right day, the right hour, and the right rack. And girl, we could get
You
some
could
stuff.
do it. I tell you. And so, and if anything that you want, if you have the mental acuity, I'm not going to say everybody can be a rocket scientist, but if it's really important to you and you're willing to make the sacrifices, even with our businesses today, there are sacrifices in order to grow the business the way you want to. You
Oh,
have to concentrate. You have to figure out where you want to go. You can't just be doing the shotgun
right.
buckshot approach, and I remember Allison told me one day, you got to fire this person. That I'm like, what? 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 That I I'm like, Big Mama don't fire people. She's like, yeah.
Yeah, Big Mama fires people.
Big Mama. And I was like, yeah, so this is not working out.
I think firing is one of the hardest parts of this gig, I have to
Yes.
tell you. And I think those
Yes.
of us with this Big Mama thing
Mm-hmm.
going on, firing is really hard because
Very
I'm
hard.
always like, I probably didn't do it right. Like I
Oh,
probably haven't given
absolutely.
them enough training
Right.
or enough, work on their mindset
Yes.
or enough
Yes.
understanding and I
Yes.
mean, I can come up with
Absolutely.
everything that is my fault.
Excuse.
Oh yeah. And every so often I'll get somebody on my team and they're like, Elise, like, I mean,
Yeah,
cut
it's
it.
not working.
You've
Yeah.
done it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But so it's the same though. It's sacrifice is sacrifice,
yep.
right? We don't want to fire people, but you have to make those sacrifices to your vision of who you are and what this means. Because the only thing it meant was it didn't work out.
That it's not a good fit right
It's
then.
not a good fit.
That
It,
person
it,
in
it didn't
that
work out.
firm. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Exactly.
So when the kids were little and we're doing travel soccer, we're doing what, there were sacrifices to be made. We didn't play football because it was on Sunday and we go to church on Sundays back when we used to actually go to church. Right.
Right.
So they didn't play football. They had to find other sports. That was a sacrifice for them because they really wanted, but we made that sacrifice. But we
Right.
did do travel soccer. 6 a.m. It's cold everywhere at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that was us doing travel swimming, and swim meets are mighty early.
Mighty
And this
early.
girl gets speeding tickets regularly on the way to swim meets.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
kind of awkward. Kids in the car, police,
Yeah. Yeah.
5:30 a.m. I was always like, we gotta go, guy. Like, we don't have time
Yeah.
for this
Right. Just
speeding
give me the
ticket.
ticket. Yeah. Thank God we only had one season of swimming. My son said, yeah, Mom, it's too early. I'm like, thank you, honey.
Yeah, well,
Let's
we
do
signed up for
basketball
swimming.
inside on bleachers.
We signed up for swimming very specifically, being a good New Orleanian mom.
Yeah.
I listened to older women, and they were like, if you don't want your kids to drink at an early age and party constantly, you get them in the pool at 5 a.m. at 5 years old. And they
Yeah.
start swimming then, and they just don't know any different. And they get
Right.
up
That is
every
true.
Saturday morning, and they cannot be hungover at a
That's
swim
right.
meet at
That's
5
right.
a.m. So I was like, oh, this is brilliant.
That's
So little did I not think that through, how
right.
many
Because
years I would be at swim meets at
right.
5 a.m.
You too not partying the night before.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Well,
That's
tell me
awesome.
something about, as we think about things like a sandwich generation and about
Hmm.
having children. I mean, I have to tell you, this very day, I have a child who's going off to go skiing. And it dawned on me this morning, I'm like, oh, you're 18 now. Like, if you get in some big ski
Oh
accident,
yeah,
I
yeah.
need a
You need
power of
to.
attorney.
Yeah, absolutely,
And I mean,
absolutely.
when you brought your parents in and you think
Hmm.
about your older children there and you worry
Hmm.
about your younger daughter, have you put things in place? Have you talked
Hmm.
to an estate planning attorney, or what have you done to kind of protect all of this?
Right. Well, not nearly enough. Thank you very much for let's put that all out there.
Well, sometimes I think we got to put our hot mess out there
That's yeah,
so that we
because
all can learn from each other.
yeah. As a matter of fact, we just are closing my grandmother's estate, and she passed away in 2010. So, um, but so what we've done with mom and daddy, we have their powers of attorney and their advance directives and their last will and testaments. My boys, it dawns on me that I did not make provisions for them, especially once they came home. Now, when they were away in college, we had the powers of attorney once they
Right.
turned 18. But so I need to revisit that. The thing about the trust is true. So our boys, our men, had their grandparents on their paternal side um, have made sure they just helped out tremendously. So
Right.
they're going to be set. One thing that we recognize, Stephen and myself, is that we don't expect anybody else to take care of what we're doing now. I mean, we understand that, yes, these are our babies, and this is a choice, and they're going to be Hansens.
Right.
Um, but we don't expect them to get the same treatment as the older ones. So we've set up a trust for her,
Right.
and whoever else comes, they'll be
Right.
in a trust,
That's
so
awesome.
that their brothers
Right.
won't have to use um, any of their resources to take care of them,
Right.
which should make it easier for their brothers and any partners that they have, because it's like,
Absolutely.
why are you coming? But yeah,
Well,
and
it's a
especially, yeah,
lot to
and
think
our
about.
families, so yeah, we're also the rainbow tribe. So I tell you, the other thing is, our sons are brown skinned, my husband's white. So they, when they were younger, he would have to keep kind of documents to make sure that they would fit together, but he wasn't afraid,
Right.
right? He
Yep.
would get challenged, but he wasn't afraid. Well, I'm brown and my daughter's white. And there's the fear factor now, that
Completely.
if I have to take her to the doctor or the hospital, if there's some emergency situation, that we have to walk around with her birth certificate and all that stuff. It's pretty sad.
Wow. It's really sad.
Yeah, I didn't experience it with the boys because I looked like them,
Right.
but with the little girl,
Well, and
yeah.
I bet raising a little blonde girl must be interesting on a lot of different levels. We could
Oh
probably
my,
have a whole nother talk about that.
yeah, the blue eyes.
Oh yeah.
And how I'm like, wait, is this how life is for y'all? We walk into a store and they would be like, hi, oh, you're so pretty, can I give you stuff? And it may
Oh,
just be the pretty. If she were pretty and brown, it would be the same way because she's a girl. But I'm thinking everyone wants to make sure that that little girl is taken care of.
isn't that interesting in and of itself? I mean,
It
what a
really is.
really amazing insight, though, for you to be able to live and see and then be able to help educate her, but also your whole family as
Oh
they're
yeah,
like out in
yeah.
the world.
Yeah, we were in Harlem. We had a
Right.
family reunion with all the black folks in my family, right?
Right.
So my husband and my daughter were the only white folks, and my daughter is on on his shoulder screaming, "Cousins, cousins, where y'all at? Cousins in Harlem."
Oh
And
my,
she's so loved. She is so
oh
loved.
yeah.
Of course, she's just because she's a new little one.
Right.
We're all old. Nobody else
But
knows.
I mean, I mean, what an amazing, powerful time for you to
Uh,
be having this and
mm-hmm,
experiencing it. I mean, I would think your voice in this has to be so powerful as you explain what you're seeing to other
mm-hmm,
people.
mm-hmm.
Because I mean, and I think of somebody like me who's obviously blonde, blue-eyed, led my whole life. I mean, I grew up in the South,
South,
you
yeah,
know, in New
yeah.
Orleans my whole life.
But
And
New Orleans is unusual too. It's
very
different. I mean, I was in
very different.
Macomb. It's very different than New Orleans.
It's
I was.
so different.
It's
When
different.
we moved to rural Georgia after Hurricane Katrina, I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. Y'all are like downright racist right
Mm-hmm.
here where we are in rural Georgia. And I was like, this was not a thing
Mm-mm,
in New
mm-mm.
Orleans in the same way. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
because yeah,
very different.
talent carried the day in New Orleans. Talent, talent, talent. I don't care what color you are. Can you
It's,
cook? Can you sing?
can
Can you
you
play?
cook?
Can you cook?
I mean, can you cook and can you relate to people? That
Yeah.
is what carries you in New
Mm-hmm.
Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you walk in an elevator and make a connection by the third floor? You're sharing phone numbers and
That's
gumbo
right.
recipes.
That's right.
And that person is going to be
That's right.
invited the next time you whip out their gumbo recipe.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
it's
right.
just a different world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so we're not just sandwich, we're the ice cream sandwich
with rainbows.
with some strawberries, you know. And
Oh
it
my
does, it
God.
makes for it colors everything we do, how we
Absolutely.
practice, how we run our business. Um, you know, when we were hiring, you know,
Oh
to
yeah.
be able to say, what did we ask the question, you know, somebody calls you, you answer the phone, you ask them their name and they start bawling. You know, they can't get a word out because they're crying so hard. You know, what would you do?
Right.
Because I don't care, you can learn the law.
Oh yeah.
You know, you get a call and it's judge's chambers and one of our associates was supposed to be there and they haven't shown up. What do you do? The woman I hired said, the first thing I want to do is hang up and tell somebody to try to find them and make sure they're okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she got hired. He said, the second thing I'm going to do is grab a jacket, whether it fits or not, and run over to the courthouse.
Right.
Right?
Wow. Oh, that
Yeah.
person was golden.
Oh, harder. I mean, I'm like that.
Oh yeah, that person was golden. I mean, you can't teach that kind of just sound judgment and culture around what
Yes.
actually matters. And
Yes.
especially when you're dealing with family law. I mean, I find we sometimes listen to calls like either through Smith AI or
Mm-hmm.
we actually have two different intake companies. It's a long story, but we'll listen to these calls
Mm-hmm.
sometimes or the Google LSA calls, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them are cringeworthy. Like somebody will say something like, I've been married for 32 years. I just found out my husband's cheating on me, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the person will be like, okay, now what county are you in? I'm like, whoa, you did not even acknowledge, forget
Right.
having any empathy, not even a slight
Yeah.
acknowledgement of the total shit show that
Right.
person's life
Right.
is.
Great. So when can we
I
get
mean,
you in?
I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. 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 Those things are so important. So important.
Oh, yeah.
Empathy. Empathy.
I mean, I mean, we are drilling down right now in our firm just so much on intake, like figuring out how do we convert every lead that's good to a
Mm-hmm.
client
Yeah. Absolutely.
and not having leads ideally that are not good, but not having those people that are calling and they're getting that ridiculous, okay, what county are you in?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have that question be the question when they've just told you their life's
Right.
darkest secret and
Right.
fear.
Right. 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 Absolutely. Yeah, we are, that's our next hire is as intake. We gotta figure it out if it's gonna be virtual or what have you. But yeah,
They're
those are some of
critical.
my concerns.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
but Allison has that great legal sales course. So and I've done it twice at least. So, you know,
Oh,
I'm
good
looking
for
forward.
you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just keep going. We
Oh,
have,
yeah.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I can, and I mean, I know people must get really tired of us with the Allison Williams thing, but I'm like, it's not my fault. She's so good. It's her fault that she's
Well,
so
and I
good.
mean, I think she works with this very particular group of people that are starting out in their practice, you know, where they're
Mhm.
really at that ground level getting so many things put in place. And I mean, it can be such a game
Oh,
changer.
absolutely,
And I love
absolutely.
Allison has called me out on so much of my own BS, you know, just and
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
does it in such a high level, intellectual, kind of
yeah.
respectful way, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, that sounded kind of
Yeah,
fancy, so,
yeah,
yeah, maybe that was me." Like,
yeah. Like, oh, you really don't ever want to make money. You want to lose money. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. You know, lady who lunches and gives away free legal advice. Yeah.
yeah, that'll be on your tombstone. Big mama
Yeah.
who lunches and does pro bono.
Uh, yeah. And the thing, here's the really good news is I still do a lot
Right.
of pro bono. I have more time and it can help more people because I have
Mhm.
systems and
Exactly.
in place, and
And don't you
I'll
think
sit
there's a
here.
big difference between voluntary pro bono and involuntary pro bono?
Yes, I don't do involuntary pro bono. And every now and then we'll see people asking the question of, what do you do with the people who don't pay their bills?
Right.
And I go, wait, you don't have retainers? They're not evergreen? I don't understand how you would even get in that position. And I'm in a state where, they'll make you stay in a case, right?
Oh,
I
wow.
can't just
Right.
withdraw, which is fine because we make sure, okay, we have trial here. So that means by this point, we need X amount of dollars in your retainer and in your
Exactly.
trust. See, no problem. Because if it's not here, then you don't get to hear. And it's done in a very loving way.
Well, of course.
No,
Yeah.
because I love you, you love me. We've been in this together. I brought you as far as I can bring you, and they all want to make sure the little girl gets what she needs because everybody thinks she's so wonderful, and she's not going to be able to do that if
E-
I keep your case.
Exactly.
Payment plan. We can work stuff out.
Well, and I think it's always a good lesson too when we lawyers, and I know I've messed this up a lot. I mean, there are many, many clients that I've been like, well, I guess we'll, move this or do. I just don't have the right boundaries sometimes.
No,
And it has
yeah,
been a real lesson to learn about the boundaries that I have for my own self, my own family, my
hmm,
own finances. And what does that say to everybody else? I mean, why would I not honor my own boundaries, yet I'm
absolutely,
expecting my client to honor boundaries? That makes no sense. That's kind of
absolutely,
inconsistent. And it's been a real lesson. And I think that has been one of my big takeaways in all this running a law firm is learning to create boundaries that I am 100% comfortable with. I can say them out loud with a
yes,
straight face. I can put
yes,
them on the front page of a newspaper. They are perfectly valid,
yep,
reasonable, moral, valued,
yes.
respectful boundaries.
Yes, I remember Allison had me do an exercise, which I did not finish on paper, but in my heart, I finished it. It was written in my head. 101 reasons why my business is unique.
Oh, wow.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because I did not value myself.
Right.
And I was like, I've only been, I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, and how can I charge this per hour and all that stuff? And she's like, you have no idea what you're bringing to the
Completely.
table, you know. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, yeah, that's my billable hourly rate.
Right. If anything, it's going up next
Oh,
week. I mean,
you know, well, of course it is, and you're gonna get a good return on that investment, right? Because I'm
you
gonna
know,
work hard.
it- and your knowledge base, you're bringing all these years of experience
Yeah.
and you understand family systems better
Yes.
than, I mean, 99 out of 100
Yes.
attorneys. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Because
I do.
you're
That
living.
emotional intelligence. You
Yeah,
talk about that a lot because I also listen to Elise Buie a lot. And but that emotional intelligence and being able to work with opposing counsel,
totally.
right? When people choose lawyers who are like them.
Right.
So somebody who has the bad N-word narcissistic tendencies, or has some kind of personality issues, they get attorneys like them, and then it's everybody's frustrated. Mediators are frustrated. Everybody's frustrated, and I'm like, come on, y'all, come on,
Yeah,
we can do this. We can
exactly.
do this. Don't let them carry you to some place you don't need to be,
Exactly.
you
Well,
know?
and I say that as an attorney. There's so many times when I'm dealing with an opposing counsel and they're kind of like snarky, like real
Mm-hmm.
bad snarky. And I'll be like, wait a minute, where did we go awry? Like, let's sit down. And my
Mm-hmm.
famous thing is, I mean, fried chicken and beer. I promise you, if you are eating fried chicken and drinking beer together, you are not snarky. You are able to bring it down and have common ground. And I mean, too bad there's not more good fried chicken out here in Seattle. I have to tell you, it's not like in New Orleans where I could find
Right.
really good fried
Yeah,
chicken
yeah,
on
yeah.
every corner.
Yeah.
But no, here we got Starbucks on every corner. It's not quite the same because if you go to
Mm.
Starbucks, you can still be snarky.
Oh,
It is not
absolutely.
the same feel
Yes. Yeah.
as fried chicken and beer.
Yeah.
So I have to say, people need to like really think outside what they're used to, but getting attorneys to just be able to sit
Yeah.
with you and start over and just be like, I
Yeah.
don't know
And you
what.
could say that. I don't know
Oh,
how we got off track. I just had
totally.
this with an attorney a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how we got on off track, but I'd like to get back on track. I can
Absolutely.
do that because I'm 58 years old almost. There's nothing.
Exactly.
I've been on stage, I've been on radio, I've been on television, I've done a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to live and die off this case.
Exactly. Well, and
Right?
your ego isn't impacted at all by this other person,
Not at
which
all.
which is so freeing. I
Oh
find
my gosh.
so freeing to just not have another human's emotions impact my emotions.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know how you could be a strong, successful business owner. And Allison has really taught me this too. And usually, and when we were in conflict, like when I wanted to to do something, and she would be like, it's this is not what you said you were going to do. One of those
Right.
conversations, you said you were going to do X and now you're trying to do Y, and and she would just really push back on me. And I realized I really cared about her. She cared about me. This was business. We're going to just talk business. That was one of the first times because I'm used to winning all the time. Really am. I, Somebody told me they do a lot of appeals. A lot of my cases go up on appeal. And I'm like, well, that means you lose a lot. I'm like, I'm not sure that I would be, I'd be putting that out there like that. I literally said, well, I don't lose that much, but it's okay. Um, but definitely learning that not only is this lawyer, just another human being, they put their pants on the same way, but honestly, these children are not my children.
Right.
This pension is not my pension. That house is not my house. I do care about my clients, but I didn't marry the person.
Right.
I didn't have these babies. I didn't have the fifth one when we knew at the first one that it wasn't going to work out, you know?
Exactly.
So I'm just going to help you as much as I can
Right.
to help you through, and I turn the clock off quite a bit and I'll just say, okay, I'm in big mama mode. I've turned off your clock.
Right.
I need to talk to you about some stuff, because I'm a pastor. I don't know if you know that. You know that, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
So, I'm still a minister. I can't go, oh, well, I just don't care about that's all. I don't care about those feelings. But I'm not going to charge you,
Right.
to talk to
Exactly.
you about some principles that I think are going to help in life.
Yeah, and I just think all getting all that ego out just makes such a difference in being able to
Hmm.
handle this work in a way. And it is really such a joy to talk to you. I love being able to talk to you, and I'm so grateful to Allison for meeting you and your husband and getting to watch your family from afar.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy, and I'm thrilled for your family. I can't wait to see the next little one.
I know, right? I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Oh,
And this one
it's
I'll have to like stay secret until, an adoption because you can't put foster kids on
right.
on
Sure.
blast. But
Sure.
I'm really excited, and I love that you have Doug, and I call him your Steve.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's I mean, women business owners, right? Lawyers, um, who've made it. I mean, out of we didn't start off on a win, We've had to go through some stuff. It has been such it's so good to watch someone like you with the joy that you have. It's okay for us to love and like our husbands,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there are a lot of women who are not in that situation, And I've decided about everything. I'm not going to dim my light anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, if my light's too bright for you, then you move.
And you pull down your shade. Exactly.
And
That
you
person.
pull down your shade, because I'm
Right.
going to let my little light shine, honey.
That,
Shine.
well, I am so happy for you. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I really hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope y'all are staying warm. I mean, it's really cold here in Seattle right now.
Yeah, it's cold here, but you know, thank God we can pay for the heat. So it's a good
Exactly.
day.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks so much, Angela.
Thank you, honey. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.